Ladies and gentlemen, let's hop into the DeLorean and go back to 2013. This is E3 2013, and Don Matrick is talking about the announcement of the Xbox One. This clip is infamous. He's talking with Jeff Keighley, and Jeff Keighley asks, hey, what about people that want to play the Xbox One offline? They don't want the DRM. They just want an experience where if they don't have internet connection, how can they play? And Don Matrick responds, hey, if you don't have internet, if you don't have always online access, well, we've got a console for you. It's the Xbox 360. So this guy just announced his new console, the thing that's going to put Xbox on the map, and he's recommending the console prior if you don't have internet access. It is infamous as being one of the worst interviews that anyone's ever seen. It was a disaster, and Xbox has never recovered. Because PlayStation took advantage of that, they capitalized on it, and they did a really funny parody for the PS4 about how you share your games, which is one person handing a box to another person, which has the game in it, and they could put it in their PS4. It was a brilliant marketing scheme off of the blunder of not just the design and concept of the new Xbox, but also the incompetent way in which it was handled. You should never be telling your customers that you don't value their dollar or that you don't want their business. You should be spending every waking moment trying to tell people that we're going to find a way to include you. We want you as part of this thing. His response here should have been, well, in the future, we may be looking for ways to grant access to offline play because we do very much value, even if it's bullshit. Try to find a way to say, yeah, well, we are thinking about that in the future. We want people across the globe, across the world who may not have internet to be able to play our upcoming console because we feel it's the best console on the market. This guy doesn't do that. He shits the bed and says, well, if you want to play offline, you can play the previous generation. The reason I bring that up is because you have this statement here from a former Sony head. They say, if you don't want to play as a female protagonist of Ghost of Yotei, don't buy the game. Yeah. Don't buy the game. Alternatively, make the game you want yourself. Well, I'm not a game developer. I don't have to make the game myself. You're former, but you are at my whim. You're trying to sell me on the product. And in order to do that, you have to make a game that I want to play. Now, I am totally open to action games that take place in feudal Japan. I think that's amazing. That's an amazing concept. But the gaming industry has put out 2 games in feudal Japan in short order. You've got Assassin's Creed Shadows, and now you've got Ghost of Yotei. And neither of them are of interest to me. Neither of them are targeted to me. I don't want to play as a female main character in feudal Japan. And also, I don't want to play as a black man. I don't want to play as a black man in the middle of feudal Japan. I don't want to play as either of those. I want to play as a Japanese man in feudal Japan. A Japanese man, not a Japanese woman, not a Japanese midget who you put in a wheelchair and they can have swords coming out the sides of their wheels. No, I just want to play as a badass masculine samurai. That's my preference. That's what I want. And so your response of, well, we don't care, even though a majority of the people who are interested in this would be open to that and do want that, we're still going to double down and tell you not to buy the game if you don't want it. Now, going down here, this article, and by the way, it is just a minefield of ads. This guy, Mighty Queef, appears to have an issue with Endymion having a preference. So, here it is. Ghost of Tsushima sequel stars a Japanese woman samurai warrior, because of course it does. They can't help themselves until every franchise that was built on masculinity is replaced by women. Ghost of Yotei is hopefully a smaller spin-off game, but if this is a true sequel, and that is the new main character of the game over Jin Sakai, fuck that. So sick of these forced girl bonds. That's a perfectly reasonable statement. That is a perfectly reasonable statement articulating his preferences. And this freak, this fat, doughy, unfunny loser, has such an issue with it, he can't keep it to himself. He can't just say, look, my opinion is I have no problem playing as a girl character. I'm looking forward to this game. Sharing his opinion. No. This sack of estrogen, this fat, disgusting loser, has a problem with this because it's an opinion that he doesn't like. And because he's a woke piece of shit, he can't just let it go. There's nothing in this. Like, for example, if Endymion said, man, Mighty Keith is such a, if he goes off on him, puts him out there by name, starts, making fun of him. Can you believe this guy, Mighty Keith, or Mighty Queef, wants to be able to play as a female character in a game like Ghost of Yotei? If Endymion came out and did that, I'll be like, okay, I understand you responding. But you read what this guy said, and it had nothing to do with him. It wasn't disparaging about anyone. It was him stating his preferences, and that triggered this loser to such a degree that he had to go on a scree about what an absolute loser. There is nothing at all wrong with this statement. One, it's a game, an entertainment. First of all, you have the freak flags in your name, which means that already I'm probably not going to like you. It's a game, an entertainment, a story a team of creators believes in. They want to make this. Why is it that it's okay for people to say, well, we want like Femme Shepherd. We want a female representative of the game. Why is it okay for you guys to say that, for you guys to bitch about that and complain, this doesn't have enough female representation? Why is it okay for female characters to be added when the main character is a protagonist? Like Knights of the Old Republic. Revan is a man. Canonically, he's a man, but there's an option to play as Revan as a woman. You have that choice. Why is it that that's okay, but this guy asking for the same thing, having the choice? I guarantee if you asked Endymion, hey, if they give you a choice to play as a man or a woman, would you have a problem with that? I guarantee he would say, no, I have no problem with that. I just play as a man. But there is no choice, and that's part of the problem. And also, the female character, they're written so completely poorly and trashy to appeal to brain-dead, low-IQ pieces of human garbage like Mighty Keith. They don't have the intelligence or the IQ to be able to understand that this is all one big con job. It's one big woke diarrhea just dropped on the gaming community. They don't actually believe any of the things that they claim to believe in. And if this guy didn't have an IQ 60 below room temperature, he'd be able to understand that. But he's so focused on what a loser this guy is for not wanting to play as a female. I am Mighty Keith. You're Mighty Queef. That is your new nickname. You're an embarrassment, dude. I've never seen somebody so shockingly pathetic online that you get that triggered over an opinion that has nothing to do with you. He's not calling you out. Unless maybe you're a woman. Maybe you're a trans woman. Maybe that's the whole thing. So you feel called out by this. I don't know. Anyway, you're a freak. You're a loser. You're forgotten. I mean, you're already irrelevant. I don't even remember what your name is. If you don't like it, Layden writes, don't buy it. In fact, why not make the game you want yourself? No. No, I'm not going to get into game development. There's a bunch of freaks and degenerates in that industry. There's a bunch of people that have their head up their own ass that will tell their customers after the game is developed, after the game is almost ready, they'll have a bunch of freaks go out there and tell people not to buy the game. After you've invested all that money and time and effort into building up the game, developing it, and marketing it, then some freak can go out there and say, if you don't like it, don't buy it, and sabotage the market and just ruin the game. So, no thank you. How about this? How about make a game that the audience actually wants to play instead of making it for yourselves? Give the customer what they want. How about that? Pretty simple, right? He makes this guy, he makes a valid point, and one that many agree with. No, they don't. Nobody agrees with this. Nobody except for these estrogen sacks of shit. These estrogen bombs. Nobody actually agrees with this. Nobody agrees with the sentiment. It's a disaster for business. Amid complaints about the Ghost of Yotei protagonist, many more fans are excited. No, they're not. No, they're not. They're not excited about the fact of playing a female character, and if they are, they're a simp or a sucker, and they're a freak. There's something deeply, deeply, profoundly wrong with them. Like this guy here that takes such an issue with such a basic statement. So on this, I side with Endymion 100%. I think that he's correct. But I think that it's an important lesson to reiterate the fact that people like Mighty Keith are in a minority. Their opinion is not anywhere near the consensus within the gaming community. In fact, most of the time, if you find yourself agreeing with Mighty Keith, you may want to reevaluate where you may have gone wrong, because the guy's a genuine idiot. And he's toxic and retarded and repugnant. My point here in this video is to highlight the fact that you should be making a game for the market rather than the virtue-hungry losers on Twitter. You should be making your game more creative, more accessible. So, if you have an opportunity like this, your main character should be a man. You have a female character as an option to play as well. And guess what that does? That can potentially double the replayability. Because you have a different voice actor, you have different lines of dialogue, different people you could potentially romance. If you go throughout the game and you inject a man and a woman, and they can interact with and, sort of romance different people, then more people are going to play the game through a second time. It's a very, very low-cost way to get people to replay your game. But I got to tell you, I only want to play as a male character in this particular genre. I agree with Endymion. So, on that note, I will bid you guys a good day. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.